All right, so let's go ahead and start our first video for number systems. Make sure that you have your notes with you and a pencil, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, first I want to start you off with a word problem here. This is not on your paper. Let's just read through it. All right, you're making a goodie bag for a party. You have the following items. You have 24 pieces of gum, 8 candy bars, and 16 Tootsie Rolls. My question is, what's the greatest number of identical goodie bags that you can make with no remainders? No remainders, okay? All right, so think about that problem, pause it if you want to, but we're gonna come back to it, all right? All right, so let's get started with your notes. Let's talk about what factors are. This is just a refresher. Make sure on your notes that you date your paper and put your name on it. All right, so let's just remember that factors are the numbers that divide evenly into another with no remainder. All right, so if I look at my number 42, I can divide that by 7 and 6. So that means both 7 and 6 are factors of 42, okay? So you can kind of look at some of these numbers. Is 6 a factor of 35? No, because 6 times nothing gives me 35. 8 is not a factor of 63 because 8 times nothing gives me 63. All right, and so on. 12 is a factor of 72 because 12 times 6 equals 72. All right? All right, so let's look at this. Let's see if we can list some of the factors. So for some of you, you can just kind of think in your mind some of the factors, but you might want to be a little bit more organized with it. That will help you to make sure that you get all of the factors. So some of you might know of the rainbow method, so let's just look at this. So if I have 36, you know you can get 36 by 1 times 36. That's one set of factors. 2 times 18. 3 times 12, 4 times 9, 5, there is no 5, and 6 gives me 6 times 6, so I know I'm finished there because I ended with 6. If you want, you can still go. There's no 7, there's no 8, and I already have 9. So those are my factors. It's called the rainbow method because it kind of looks like, I'm not going to do this really pretty, but kind of looks like this. These match up. These are my sets of factors. And then 6 is 6 times 6. Okay? All right, so what I would like for you to do on your piece of paper is I would like for you to do list the factors of, let's first start off with 24. So go ahead and pause the video and list out your factors for 24. All right, now go ahead and see if you can list out your factors for 16. Make sure you get them all. Make sure they're in order from least to greatest. All right, so check your answers. Hopefully you have those. There's no problems there, okay? All right, if you're having more problems, you're really having difficulties with this, go to this website right here and watch a more detailed video on factors, okay? All right, but we're going to move on. Let's look at finding the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor is just kind of what the name is. It is looking at two numbers, but I want to see what they have in common, the greatest number that they have in common. So if I look at 15 and 18, so first of all, some of you might be able to do that without listing out all the factors. That's perfectly fine. That's actually really good. But if you need to list them out, that's fine too. So 15 is 1 and 15, 3 and 5, that's it, okay? And then 18 is 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that is it, okay? So my greatest common factor, if you look at these, my greatest common factor for these numbers would be 3. So my greatest common factor is 3, okay? All right. All right, why don't you go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to look at these two problems. Let's do this one first. Pause the video and come back. I'll put them both up there, okay? Pause the video and come back when you have your answer. All right, let's check those answers. Hopefully you got 6 and 9 as your greatest common factors. Okay. All right, so let's see why does it matter that we have that? Let's go back to that beginning problem. So if you look at this, remember I had the following items. I had 24 pieces of gum, 6 candy bars, and 16 Tootsie Rolls. Well, that's just the greatest common factor. problem. If I want to know what's the greatest number, that's just a hint of saying hello, ding, 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 what's the greatest common factor? So the greatest common factor of all three numbers here, you can kind of find a common factor. If you look at that, well, it looks like it's going to be 8 goodie bags. Goodie bags, okay? So if I were going to ask a little bit more to that, if I wanted to know how many of each item were in there, if there's 8 goodie bags, how many pieces of gum are going to be in each bag? Well, 24 divided by 8, so that means there's going to be 3 pieces of gum. If I have 8 candy bars divided into 8 bags, that just means there's 1 candy bar. And 16 Tootsie Rolls divided by 8 bags, that just means there's 2 Tootsie Rolls. Okay? All right, so let's try your hand at some word problems here. All right, so Katie baked 60 chocolate chip cookies and John baked 48 cookies, making me hungry. If they want to put them into groups, what are all the possible choices? So first of all, you might want to look at what are all the possible choices. But my big question is here really is what is the greatest number of identical bags that they can make? Okay, so why don't you go ahead and pause the video and see what you come up with, okay? All right, let's go ahead and look at the next one. Tommy, that was my phone. Tommy has 24 toy trucks and I forgot my number here. He has 18 motorcycles. Oops, that's a typo, sorry. And 30 toy cars. So those are all his little cars that he has. So he wants to put them into groups all containing the same number of vehicles with none left over. My question is, what is the greatest number of groups that he can make? So again, he's got 24 toy trucks, 18 motorcycles, and 30 toy cars. So pause the video and come back when you have your answer. All right, let's see how you did. Hopefully you had 12 bags of cookies and 6 groups of vehicles. Now, if you notice, I added a little bit more information. It wasn't asked for, but I always want to add a little bit more. So I told you there's 12 bags of cookies, but I also told you how many of each of those cookies were in the bag. So there were 5 chocolate chip and 4 oatmeal in each of those bags, okay? All right, one other thing that you can use the greatest common factor, which is really important, is to simplify fractions. Of course, I know you all love this quite a bit, but to simplify fractions, if you know the greatest common factor, that's going to help you out so much, okay? So if I look at this 18 and 24, I can divide that by a lot of numbers, both of those, but if I find the greatest common factor right away, it's going to get me simplified here. So I can recognize that my greatest common factor here is 6. So if I divide that by 6, I get 3. Divide 24 by 6 and I get 4, okay? If I can recognize here, I can recognize the greatest common factor. Let's show you if I don't. Let's just say right now I'm going to divide by 4. If I divide by 4, I get 9. Divide by 4, I get 12. I can divide that again by 3. That gives me 3/4. But if I know right away that my greatest common factor is 12, 36 divided by 12 is 3, and 48 divided by 12 is 4. Okay? All right, your turn on your notes. Go ahead and pause the video and do those 2 problems. Okay? All right, I divided by 5 and I got 3/7. And I divided by 6 and I got 3/5. Okay. All right, so last thing, this is your exit slip. You have 7 questions, 7 questions, that's it. So you need to go to this website, okay? Go to this website, it is a Google form, and you need to solve these 7 questions. List out all the factors. First thing here, list out all factors. Please list them in order from least to greatest and use a comma in between, okay? So in this case, your first number should be a 1 followed by a comma. Your last number should be an 18, okay? Over here, just tell me the greatest common factor. That's it. That's just one number. And over here, simplify the fraction in lowest. Make sure it is lowest form. Just go ahead and use a slash for the fraction, okay? All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day, guys.